Right, motherfuckers. Today you've got just me. This is a solo episode. Me, myself, and I. I am Connor. Benham. John isn't with me today because I'm recording this at 11 a.m. So it's 4 a.m. in buttfuck nowhere in Ireland. So you're going to have to deal with me. And I know I can already hear you screaming at me. Where have you been, Connor? What's been going on? Well, I've had my family over from England and Australia for pretty much 3 weeks. I had my 2 younger brothers staying in my little villa in the middle of a rice field in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Bali. And let's just say it's been a whirlwind. Dad was staying around the corner in a little guest house. He was smart with that one. He didn't want to be part of the chaos. So I've barely had time to breathe, let alone think, let alone record a podcast episode. And the time zones definitely make it harder to coordinate that because at 5 p.m. here, so it's 10 a.m. for John, that's prime time for going out with the boys and doing shit, sunset surfing, a few bintangs on the beach, whatever it may be. Anyway, you don't care about any of that. But you got me and just me today. Why? Because I know you're probably desperate, but more so because I feel guilty because 22 days ago I asked in the Well Fed Renegades group. If you don't know what that is, it's our exclusive community just for book buyers. If you want to be part of the gang, be a renegade, do your marketing and sales very differently to the norm and get very different results from the norm. Read better. Get yourself a copy of the book at wellfedbusiness.com/book and you'll get pretty much instant access to the community. Inside there's something like 30 odd hours of free trainings, some of which are event recordings that we used to sell for a few £1,000. And you get all of that for the price of the book. But most importantly, you get to ask questions that I'm going to be answering today, although you may have to wait 22 days to get an answer. Because I asked you guys, I asked my renegades, our well-fed renegades. I asked, what direct mail are you sending? Now, before I answer all of your challenges and questions, I do want to apologize for my sniffing. The big dog is suffering from a slight cold. Man flu. Tamsin doesn't understand, of course, so I'm getting no sympathy there. So if we just take a moment and you guys can give me your sympathy, that would help me a lot. Anyway, I asked you guys 22 days ago before the carnage of my family arrived, what direct mail are you sending? I then went into a little bit more detail and I asked, what direct mail are you sending at the moment? Specifically right now. If you're not sending anything, what ideas are you pondering? And then finally, I asked, what's the biggest challenge you are facing when it comes to direct mail? And that one was the real question that I really wanted to ask, because if you're sending direct mail, you've got very tangible problems. You've got some action, you've now got a pile of shit to sift through. For those that haven't sent any, they're dealing with some perceived issues. Maybe they've got a little bit of action, but I'm interested to know what those roadblocks are because I much prefer the way of brute forcing it through, getting some action, and then having a list of real problems. So I asked these questions and I got a bunch of responses. So today's episode is dealing with those responses. So up first is Mr. Chris, and he asks about the biggest challenge of not just direct mail, of any marketing. And his big challenge is formulating the list. Way to start off with the biggest challenge and the most important part of your direct mail. Not just of direct mail, because fundamentally what we're talking about here is audience. And audience is Jesus Christ, if we can get our words out today, that'd be great. You could argue that audience is the most important part of any advertising in any format over any medium using any mechanism on the face of this planet Earth, because even a shit offer to the right person will get results. But the world's best offer to a shit audience will generate no results. So So formulating the list is a big challenge. So let me try and make it a little bit easier for you. I'm going to get a little bit tactical. I may end up a little bit all over the place with this one, but try and bear with me. So it's important to understand the list will always be the hardest part, without a shadow of a doubt. There's so many variables that you cannot control, and fundamentally you will end up just staring at a spreadsheet full of names, numbers, and addresses that are essentially meaningless to you, even if those names, numbers, and hieroglyphics have been given to you by a reputable list broker. It will always be the hardest part because we are not fortune tellers. There will always be mistakes and too many things that we cannot account for. But we can get better at it. And the way we get better at it is by sending more direct mail, because refining your list is an iterative process. You send things, you get results, you then make changes to the next list that you buy based on the feedback you got from the mailing before and the mailings that come before that. But let's pretend we're starting from scratch and we're looking to get our hands on our first list. Where do we start? What we're asking here is an avatar question. It's a target market question. It's ideal client profile question. And that can be really tricky for a lot of people. And I feel that pain because it's hard. It's a really hard question to answer. So a way I like to cut through the noise is, instead of asking, well, who do you want to work with? Which is a very important question and one we ask often, but that can be a hard question to answer because it usually throws up multiple avatars. So a better question to ask when you're really struggling to hone in on one target market is, who will unequivocally get the best results and the best return and get the best outcomes from working with me? The absolute best. So for example, in our own business, the people that can get the absolute best results in terms of speed of implementation, ease of implementation, and just pretty much they can just Control C, Control V, everything we do straight into their business, is going to be some form of B2B consultant. Yes, we can help and have done very successfully over the years the construction industry. But to get our methods to work for them, it takes a little bit of massaging. It takes a little bit longer because there's certain caveats, twists and turns that we need to work through to get it to work for their business, specifically when it comes to triage and sales. Triage and sales conceptually applies to any business, pretty much under the sun. But the specific way that we can teach it best, which is not teach it best, but teach it best and fastest, and for them to quickly implement it and get it very quickly, is a triage call to our Socratic sales close. In construction, it's very unusual to have a triage call. It's very unusual to say book a 15-minute call. Very unusual. So we have to massage our methods in other ways. We have to teach them triage as a concept and get them to apply it through email. Now that's incredibly powerful and a great outcome for them, but it's more work. So the construction industry isn't the answer to the question, who can get the best, fastest results and outcomes in the least time possible. And that's a question that I don't think many of you are asking enough. And all of a sudden, when you ask that question, the answers become far more focused. So let me give you another example. If you clean exteriors, let's talk about Chris for a second. Yeah, he can help clean the local news agents. And I'm probably doing your business a disservice here, Chris, but let me take it to the extreme to make a point. Chris can probably clean the exterior of a newsagent's corner shop in the part of town that you don't want to visit. The one that's full of people on the dole and full of council houses and whatnot. And now, I'm not knocking those people, but they tend to have less disposable income. But either way, he can clean that newsagent's on the corner in the ghetto. But he can also clean the exterior for a high-end bespoke wedding dress shop. Same service, two different very customers, and very different outcomes. Now, of course, the newsagent needs to remain somewhat clean. Cleanliness is a goal the majority of us do strive for. But the outcomes to them are far lower. The threshold of dirtiness is way higher before that newsagent starts to lose customers, so therefore repeat business is lower. Their willingness to pay higher fees is lower, because fundamentally the outcomes, the mathematical is it worth it equation that happens in all of our heads when we're making buying decisions, it doesn't weigh out. But making that same pitch to a high-end wedding dress bespoke company, where the main colour is white, by the way. So cleanliness is of the utmost importance. Rats running around will do them no favours, and them looking a little bit tired and run down and not looking very trendy and modern will definitely go against their close rates. Now, all of a sudden, the outcomes for them for maintaining a beautiful, clean exterior is way higher. Now, on the surface, when you look at them in the way most people look at avatars, they're very similar. They're high street businesses. They deal with the local community. They have windows, they have doors, they have facades that need cleaning. So you go to a list broker and you say, hey, I want high street businesses with windows, facades, and deals with the local community. All of a sudden you end up with the ghetto newsagents and the bespoke wedding dress company. When you only want one of those, really. So start by asking yourself that question. Who stands to gain the most from working with me in the least amount of time? And work from there. We then have 50 odd questions that we like to ask ourselves about our avatar. If you want to know what those 50 questions are, you can get yourself a copy of Core 28. That's a cheap program that is still available to purchase, but we never ever push it. I believe it's less than £100. But inside there is our playbook on how to further define your angels and your demons. But we're not talking about your demons right now, talking about your angels. So then we like to take them through these 50 odd questions after we answer that question. Well, who stands to gain the most? The very most, by the way. And if you end up with two, one will almost certainly stand to gain more. And if you're really stuck, then just flip a coin. Anyway, answer that question, get an answer, take them through the 54 questions, and then apply your own learnings to it. Now, I assume everyone listening to this has been marketing and in business for some time, so therefore they will have some personal anecdotes to apply to the avatar. So for example, us recently, we've been through an iterative process of our avatar, and to get the best bang for our buck for our mailing specifically, we have generated a mailing only avatar. So for example, although we can help businesses with multiple locations, so for example, they have a handful of offices dotted across the globe, to ensure our direct mail ends up at the right office and lands on the desk of the correct person, it's way harder to do that if they've got multiple locations. Way harder. Way fucking harder. So therefore, we're only going to be mailing businesses that have one location. Now, the caveat to that is if we identify them as a dream customer, but then we build a whole bespoke campaign and we'd probably mail all 5 offices. We'd do something like the fucking Infinity Stones from Marvel for them to build a gauntlet, go to all of your offices, there's a stone in each fucking package, put it together, hey presto. Anyone who hasn't seen Marvel will have no idea what I'm on about, or maybe they will because I haven't seen Marvel and I know what I'm on about there. So through our iterative process, we're only mailing companies with one office. We're only mailing companies with one founder. So therefore there is one decision maker, because it's really fucking annoying when you mail a company and it turns out there's a founder and now all of a sudden they feel left out because they haven't been mailed. It stirs up emotions, trickiness. It's just not worth it financially, economically, for us to get the best return on our mailings to do that. So there's two examples. There's a whole list of 10 things that we've implemented for our mailing only avatar, but we're going after businesses that are founder-led and only have one founder, only have one office location, no more than 20 staff, because then the office becomes a little unruly and there's a lot more packages being flung around that can get lost. But they've got to have at least one member of staff. And we learned that through doing the actions. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to take a stab in the dark, send some shit, follow up, and then from that you will get some data, both quantitative and qualitative, that you can improve upon. Anyway, so once you've gone through this, you've got a better idea of what your avatar looks like. It is then a case of finding those people to formulate the list itself. Now, you can do this bespoke by hand. That's actually the way I recommend the majority of you do it. The majority of you are you only need a handful of clients to make a lot of money. Therefore, I would be taking 4 hours per day to identify some dream fucking customers, people that you would love to work with, very clear, specific outcomes that you can generate for them in the least amount of time and in the easiest way possible. And I would hand pick these people. Not only does that give you a better list, it teaches you, the business owner, way more about what you want your customers to look like. You'll pick up on little things. What do they look like? What does the age look like? Are they active on social medias? What do their websites look like? What sort of thing do they talk about on their website? Is there a certain niche service that they offer that you haven't thought about? Spend 4 hours a day formulating that list yourself by fucking hand. And if you can't do 4, do 2. But that is the most foolproof way of building a list, and it teaches you way more about the process of list building and what your ideal client looks like. You will pick up on various little things. Like, I'm starting to notice a pattern emerge that a lot of the guys that we're targeting have quite an extensive sports background. They played at the very least to a very high level when they were younger, and or are very interested in sports. And that's interesting to me. That is not something I ever would have picked up from if I just did the avatar process, put it into a Google Doc, sent it over to a bunch of data companies and said, hey, find me these people. I never would have picked up on the sports angle. Now, we're looking at the possibility of finding all of these companies that we've identified that have a specific interest, where the founder has a specific interest in sport, finding out what sport that is, and then doing a direct mail campaign around the sport that they're interested in. That is not something we ever would have done without doing the hard work of analysing, of building the list ourselves. And if you say, fuck, Connor, that's hard. Yeah. It fucking is hard. That's business. If you ain't got time, if you ain't got money to spend to get someone else to do this, and you haven't got the time as well on top of that to train them how, well, you're going to have to do it yourself, and you're going to have to carve out the fucking time. Now, alternatively, if you're more confident in your avatar and you really don't have the time to spend, you can just go to data companies. I recently reached out to 10 or 12 and for like 5,000 records it was about £500. It's really fucking cheap, but you are compromising quality when you go that way, because these are not hand-picked people and you are robbing yourself of the opportunity to analyze what your ideal prospect looks like. But you are managing time, money, and energy as 3 finite resources, scarce resources that you have. And fundamentally, at some point, all of these people have to go through some form of qualification. If you don't have the money and you're really not sure who you should be mailing, I recommend you go down the hand-picked route. If you're really stuck for time and you've got a little bit of confidence in what your avatar looks like, and you've got a little bit of confidence in the direct mail sequence you're going to send them, go buy a list. But with that being said, fundamentally, the majority of you are going to be better off taking a Dream 100 approach, where you handpick, say, 20 accounts, 100 accounts, whatever it is, they're handpicked. And for each one, you send something custom, something bespoke. Now, the bones of the campaign can remain the same. We're going to send a letter here with a little present that doesn't exceed £10, but the present is different for every person. The majority of you are going to be better off doing that. So that's pretty much everything I've got to say about the list. Yeah, it's hard. There's data companies out there. Ask them for assurances about the quality of data. Ask them about what licenses you hold when you buy the data, because some of them say you can only make X calls, some of them say you can only make X mailings, some of them say you can only do it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a year. Just ask those clarifying questions. I hope that answers your question around lists, Chris. And the reason I asked, you'll be able to see this if you're watching the video on school, how many clients can you serve at one time, is because of that. If you can only serve, say, 10 clients at one time and you already have 5 clients, so therefore you only need to bridge a gap of 5 clients, which, by the way, is doubling the business. So it's no easy task. Don't think, oh, it's only 5, even though it is only 5. You know, you're doubling the business. That's a big fucking deal. That doubles operational complexity and whatnot. Anyway, getting way off track here. You only need 5 clients, Dream 100, pick a list of 20 clients and mail them bespoke mailers, and be sure that those 20 are definitely a fit and can get the best outcomes, get the best return for their pounds with you, and you can do it nice and quick. And go for those guys, and you will learn way more about your avatar being that intimate with them than you will if you just buy a list. So, Mr. Prince, I've seen your message on LinkedIn, mate. The reason I haven't got back to you is because I've had the family over. I will get back to you, big dog. Currently working on an email series for the website Security Quick Scan, a magazine for potential clients. We can help implement education software. We will not send this, but let a company call decision makers and ask for an appointment to bring it over personally. Third service. Well, if you offer a very clear result to freelancers, and it's a very clear process. So, for example, you help take freelance digital security people and you teach them how to become a senior practitioner, and you show them, you upskill them, give them the processes around their job. You then give them the processes on how to find customers, and you can accurately say, hey, we can get you to 10k a month, whatever it is, that golden number that everyone aims for, in X amount of time. Well, then you can do mailings there about that very specific process to a specific avatar. But from here, you're talking about freelancers start and manage their business. Now, this is where direct mail will fall down, because direct mail is expensive and you are fundamentally targeting people who on the large have no money. Freelancers established tend to have fuck all money, let alone aspiring freelancers. And because direct mail is expensive, the economics might not work there, at least not on the scale that you'll be operating at. And you need a lot of data in order to work at a larger scale, which again, you're not there yet. So I wouldn't be thinking about direct mail helping freelancers start and manage their business. And having worked in that audience in the past, let me just say it's a bit of a ball ache. Less cash. They don't see businesses as a business. They just see their cash as their cash. They see They can't look at their business as an entity in and of itself. They can't view it as the tree in the back garden that may be part of their garden. They can't view it as an individual tree. They merely see it as part of the foliage, the greenery of the garden, if you get my point. You're working on an email series for the website security, quick scan, not sure what that's about, and you're working on a magazine for potential clients. We will not send this, but let a company called Decision Makers. That's not a very compelling offer. Hey, can I come into your office and give you a magazine? Because they have no care for the magazine. So the barrier there is the meeting. Someone's got to take time out of their day to meet someone to get a magazine. Now, context around these things are always important, because if someone from, called me and said, hey, I'm from The Big Issue, I don't want your £3 or whatever it is, but I want to give you a free copy of The Big Issue. Are you free tomorrow at 1 p.m? I'll be like, fuck off. Not only do I not want the magazine, I don't want you to come near my house. And now that isn't because they're fucking homeless before anyone jumps down my throat, which is the first example that came to mind. But if Jeff Bezos called me and said, hey, you're free at 1 p.m. tomorrow, I want to bring you all of my shareholder letters that I've written to Amazon shareholders for the last, approaching 30 years, I'd say, yeah, absolutely, I've got a fucking flight tomorrow, but I'll cancel it. Do you see what I'm saying? So a random stranger just saying, hey, can I have an appointment to bring over a magazine? That's not going to work. If you just called them and say, hey, you're struggling with these problems, wicked. I've got something that might be able to help. Would you care for me to send it over? And they say yes, and you send over the magazine along with a sales letter and some other goodies, well, that can work because you verified problem first. Direct mail goes wrong and gets very expensive very quickly when you're sending the same thing to everybody with no clear distinguish or difference. So be careful there. Stefan is doing a dollar bill letter style to introduce risk-free offer and the info that I'm going to call in 1 to 2 days, high appointments, then go directly to cold calling. Yeah, that's beautiful. Dollar bill letter style. That's so old school. I love it. I can't remember who did that first, but I know exactly the mailing that you're on about, and that's inspired you here. If anybody doesn't know what that is, just Google $1 bill direct mail, and it pretty much comes right up. In fact, let me Google it now. $1 bill direct mailing. There we go. For those that are now listening to me in their cars, I'm just looking at pictures of letters with $1 attached to it. Yeah, fundamentally this is where you send a sales letter in the post and you give them $1 and you tie the message into the $1. Now I can't remember what how the original dollar bill mailing connected the $1 to the letter. I don't know if it was along the lines of this is the first $1 we're going to make together or something along those lines. But it's very effective. It's very effective. So good job, Stefan. Orla says, I took the M82 book on holiday and I was amazed being away from the office, how my mind was open. I realised I was being sucked into a merry dance called the Pussyfoot, and my niceties were allowing prospects to get off with a pat on the back and the promise to return in X months. Yeah, they never bloody do they, Orla? They're fucking liars. I won't hold my breath. Yeah, definitely don't. Reading the book, distraction-free, without background noise, was eye-wateringly eye-opening. A tough read, reading it more intentionally this time than the last. No excuses though, major work to be done, rifle loaded and taken aim. All are fucking wicked. I'd love to know what that actually means, though. I'd love to know what that actually means. What have you loaded the rifle with, and who are you taking aim at? More specifically, you are a book publisher. People come to you when they decide they want to write a book, and you help them with the whole entire process. Now, I say you're a book publisher not to do you a disservice, because I know you do more than that, but hey, we ain't got time for that, but we do have time for me to caveat it. So the big challenge you're going to face, Orla, is your ideal prospects would have already decided they want to write a book. And it's very hard to go to a list company and say, hey, give me a list of people that want to write a book. They just won't have that. They won't have that at all. But there'd be nothing stopping you running Google ads to a free report, how to write a book, and then you send that in the post. You could look into what number of people write a second book after writing their first book. If that percentage is high enough, then you can mail people that have written a first book. And I'd be interested in that as well, actually. If you can do a deep dive on how many people that write a book go on to write a second book, and then really dive into the characteristics of those people that go on to write a second book, well, then you may be able to take that number as a whole, 20% of people that write one book write two books. But if you then boil it down, if they're a business owner, say they're a coach, because coaches love fucking writing books, then it becomes 80% of coaches that have written one book go on to write a second book, and then all of a sudden you could be far more confident in your mailings. So I'd be doing a deep dive into those numbers, because then you can ask for a list of coaches who have written at least one book but not their second book. So not at least, just one book. And then you can do direct mailings to those people. The other alternative is to do a direct mailing that we showed you at the event, actually, because you were at the event. Again, aim it at coaches, because I know you've worked with a lot of coaches or similar, and talk to them about the problems they face that a books would fix. You know, messages around authority, respect, easier closes, those sort of thing. And then you put them into your book writing process, but then you have to look at how you're delivering service. Anyway, that's what I'd be doing for you, Orla. Darren has written a letter to go with this postcard, Insult to the town I live in and work in. Love that. Nobody likes where they live. I've been handing out variations of these at local networking events. Might as well make the skeletons dance, as a certain wine man said. I love that phrase. Make them skeletons dance. It's a fun thing to do in sales as well. When people say I don't have the time, you say, well, that's it. You make their skeletons dance. So not only do you make your own skeletons dance by saying, you know, we don't do this, but that's because this, and then all of a sudden it looks like a good thing. And when you own the negatives, you control the narrative around them, so then they kind of look like positives. But if you can make their skeletons dance, oh, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got this, that, the other, and you basically say to them, that's exactly why you should do it. That's really fun as well. Anyway, these are going to be delivered to some of the companies and the local industrial estates. There's a lot, and I've had companies approach me directly in the past for these places asking me to build them websites, which I did. So I thought I'd be more proactive this time and get on their radar with my mail before they ever need the website. Some of the companies have websites already, and I can't see anything particularly wrong with what they have. They may want to start over or need something fixing or doing though. Perhaps they will hang on to the postcard or show their colleagues, associates. Yeah, if you're looking to almost build a monopoly over websites in your local town, crack on. I like it. if that's your delineation on terms of your target market, you're not going after, say, I don't know, e-commerce website redesigns, which is a popular one, but you are going, I'm going to be the website man for this local area. It's a strong approach. We're in the gutter, but so now for those listening on the podcast, I am looking at pictures of his postcard that he has written. So the front of his postcard says, "Wish you weren't here, Costa del Ilkeston." Where's Ilkeston? Ilkeston, town in England. Never even heard of Ilkeston. Oh, it's near Nottingham. Proper mid-England. The Midlands. Do they all talk like this? Never been there. Never been there. Anyway. And he has a picture of quite a dirty building, the location, booze cans on the floor. And then on the back of the postcard, it says, "We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Need to create, fix, or improve your website. Darren's mobile. Arrange a 15-minute chat." So I'd change "need to create, fix, or improve your website" to some actual tangible problems they may be facing. Website not generating leads is so outdated it's turning off customers and looks like you're out of business, or something else, another essential problem that they face that you fix around their website. And then I'd have a clearer call to action rather than just Darren's mobile. I'd say, shoot me a text here so we can chew through the fat. People like reasons to reach out. They like clear instruction to reach out. So, text me here, call me here. So I'd say text me here, text or call me here, and then you want to give a reason. And the reason doesn't ever really matter. If you've read the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, merely giving a nonsensical reason as to why you need to cut in front of the photocopier and printer queue increases results, I think, by 80%, increases the chance that you'll get a yes, you can cut in front of me by 80%, even if the reason is, do you mind if I cut in front of you to collect my print because my water bottle's over there? People go, yeah, sure. But if they just say, hey, can I cut in front of you? The no's come way higher. Same principle applies here. And the other thing, I'd give it a go. I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but I'd definitely change that, see how it goes. There's some other things that we can do as well. And I like that you've blocked out the QR code so I can't book a call. And then he's got an accompanying letter for the postcard. This is where the juice is. Is your business going places? Like it. I see how that's tied in to the Ilkeston postcard. Ryan, we are where we are. Are you stapling this letter to the postcard? If not, you should be. We are where we are. This is it. We do what we do the way we do it because that's the popular thing to do, but that doesn't mean it's the most sensible or efficient thing to do. You might have or want a website, but if it's try it, you'll never be in the business fight. We can't do anything about the way Ilkeston is, but possibly can do something about the way your business is represented online. Not sure if you have any website issues. I'd say, no, I'm certain you don't have any website issues. It loads fast, it looks modern, and it generates a steady stream of customers. But if I'm wrong, and you do have those challenges, shoot me a text on here, shoot or call me here so we can chew through the fat. And then on that letter, I'd put your number and URL again. But good job, Darren. You're doing a lot of shit. Fucking love it. Right, I'm back in the room. Just had to answer the door because I was getting food delivered. We We've got a chef that delivers our food 2 meals, well 4 meals for me and Tamsin, 2 each in the morning every day. So just had to pick that up. Anyway, Darren, good job, love it. Anna says I'm working on all the pieces to get them lined up. It's a very, very small postcard mail out to a selected list, so pared down that will raise a few juggle. I finished writing an e-guide that will be funneling my list too, finishing designing the postcards, plain coloured envelopes, putting the final touches on a landing page only for the people on this mail run. Perfect. If you've got a selected list, I wouldn't give up with this. I would hammer that list until they buy, die, unsubscribe, basically tell you to fuck off. So if the postcard doesn't work, doesn't generate any response, I wouldn't give up there. If you've got a very small list, let's say 5 people, the difference of impact of what you can make from, say, spending £2 per postcard, which is £10, to £4 per mailer, so you're spending £20 total, the impact's a lot. It's worth way more than £2 per package, if you know what I mean, as long as you're pricing accordingly on the back end. So get this postcard sent out, but then keep going with the mailings. You've got a mock-up, this space on tide 2, so you can scribble a personalised note. Good. Add links, challenges, uncertainty about content, slowing down, target small, idealistic independent publishers who offer literature in translation. Okay, translated literature could change the world. My services. I changed that to the problems I solve. And then instead of saying Spanish to UK translation and transcreation in that direction only, I would talk in terms of what problem that solves. Helping you get in front of an untapped UK audience without affecting the context of, your words, that sort of thing. And again, what I offer, change that to problems I solve. But apart from that, looks good. And someone else is at the door now, so I'll be right back. Right, we're back again. That was the pool boy who is cleaning the pool. Anna says, Connor, your post was tiny. I was wondering about posting my project, but now you give me an extra shot of courage. Yeah, send the fucking thing and fucking follow up with more shit if you're pretty certain that you can solve their problems in a way that makes economical sense. Change your postcard to not talk about my services, but talk about, problems you may be facing. You may be struggling with translating your Spanish into UK text. Therefore, you've got a massive untapped audience, and even if you've tried doing it before, you would have noticed that the context of the words has changed, which means that, the message of the text is completely undone, which is, yada, 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 yada. Challenges they face and problems you solve, not my services. Anna, fundamentally, they don't give a shit about you. I approach is bad, and this is I, but the good thing is you've got that established. Now we can just flip it on its head and change it to what does it mean for them. They care way more about themselves than they do about you. So make the mailer about their problems. Chris has got some pictures here of some letters. Love it, Chris. He's got a Lotus Biscoff. He's got a Yorkshire tea. He's got a brochure. He's then got a sales letter. He's then got a bunch of books. Oh, he's done that on purpose. Let's read out what he's read. Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy, great book. John McCulloch, M82, fantastic book. Ways to Get More Customers by Chris Cardell, no comment. Unselling by Kevin Casey, fucking love Kevin, haven't read the book, but I think he's a top geezer. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, incredible book. And The Freelance Fairy Tale by Lisa. I've heard Lisa's very nice. I haven't dealt with her much myself. I'm sure the book is great. Thank you, Chris. You're supporting the troops there in our little well-fed world. I love that. Apart from Chris Cardell, he's not part of the well-fed world. And then Darren again. Recently I've been going into DIY and stationery shops to look at some of the tat that's available. I haven't bought any of this stuff, but some of the stuff that is for sale gives me ideas for lumpy nail, but not necessarily for me or my industry. Rather, it's a bit of what if thought experiment. Yeah, always be doing that. Everywhere you go, every business that you walk into, you should be asking yourself, how can I make this business better? How would I advertise this business? Everything from coffee shops to your local fucking chiropractor, even though you shouldn't go to chiropractors, because I'm pretty sure they're bad news, but I haven't read the literature. He's then posted pictures of magnifying glasses, which you could do a joke about visibility, raffle tickets, does your marketing and sales feel like it's a raffle? Will form. You could do something around the death of their business. L plates, that's a very obvious one. Does completing this thing feel as if you've got the L plates on and you wish an expert could come in and just take care of it, sort of angle? And then a gaming calculator. Gaming calculator, that's a fun one. Make more money with a game of business angle. And that's everything. So guys, thank you so bloody much for being patient with me. I apologise that it took 22 days to get back to you. And as I'm saying that, I've realised Stefan's got something else. Oh no, we've spoke about that already. We have spoke. I'll bring it up here because it's fantastic. Stefan used to send out burned letters, so letters that were burnt on the edges and occasionally somewhere in the middle. Attached was a printed picture of a family portrait that was also burned. And this was to sell fire insurance. Stefan, that is fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. And then Darren has built on top of that. And again, this is a beautiful idea. Given me the idea to send burned money around. And I imagine you'll be tying that into you burning money with your advertising, with your marketing efforts. And that is glorious. Fucking glorious. Anyway, if you are part of the Well Fed Renegades group and you have appeared on today's episode, thank you so much for asking questions and being part of the gang. I'm sorry it's been quiet recently, but hey, the family's fucked off, so we can do some shit. If you're not part of the group and you would like to be, so you have the opportunity to be involved in personalised podcasts such as this, go get yourself a copy of the book, wellfedbusiness.com/book. You'll get almost instant access to the group and gain access to fucking 30 odd hours of pure quality business gold trainings, everything from positioning, pricing, direct mail, to the weird old ramblings of me and my mate McCulloch. Anyway, I've been Connor Benham. I hope you've enjoyed this. See you later, alligators.